Chapter 1. The Night of Betrayal. The sky was painted in shades of fire and blood as the village of Rensher burned. Screams echoed through the night, drowned only by the clash of steel and the merciless laughter of the invaders. Mira, only 12 at the time, cowered beneath the floorboards of her family's home, her mother's warm hand clasped tightly over her mouth. "No matter what happens, Mira," her mother whispered, "you must survive. One day, you will make this right." Then silence. The hand that once held her was gone. Mira remained there for hours, her body trembling with fear and grief. When dawn finally broke, she emerged into a world that had been stolen from her. Her home was reduced to ashes, her family slain, and her childhood torn away. Chapter 2. The Birth of Ashen. Years passed, and Mira became Ashen, a name stripped of her past, a ghost of the girl she once was. Disguised as a boy, she trained among mercenaries, learning to wield a sword with deadly precision. Revenge burned in her heart, but she knew that vengeance was not won through brute strength alone. It required patience, cunning, and the ability to become someone else. Under the guise of Ashen, she joined the ranks of the very forces that had destroyed her home. The leader of the attack, General Sverik, had risen in power, now seated at the right hand of the king. To get close to him, she would have to prove herself, a feat easier said than done in a world where suspicion was deadly. Chapter 3. The Warrior's Trial. Ashen's first test came in the form of the Blood Trials, a brutal initiation for those who wished to serve in the king's army. In the ring, she faced seasoned warriors, her every move scrutinized by the commanders. Though smaller and lighter than the others, she was faster, an advantage she wielded mercilessly. When she finally stood victorious, blood dripping from her blade, the soldiers cheered for the new recruit, unaware that they had just welcomed their own executioner. Chapter 4. A Dance with Shadows. Months turned to years, and Ashen climbed the ranks. Sverik remained untouchable, surrounded by loyal guards, but she was patient. She gathered allies, those who had their own reasons to see the general fall. In whispered conversations and stolen glances, a rebellion began to take form. Yet, as the day of reckoning drew closer, she found herself entangled in a web of emotions she had long thought buried. Captain Elias, one of Sverik's most trusted men, had taken notice of Ashen, not as a mere soldier, but as something more. His kindness was dangerous, his curiosity even more so. If he discovered her secret, it could mean the end of everything. Chapter 5. The Unraveling. One fateful night, Elias confronted her. "You're not who you say you are you?" he asked, his voice laced with something between suspicion and sorrow. Myra's heart pounded, her fingers gripping the hilt of her dagger. She could silence him forever. It would be easy, one swift movement, and her secret would remain safe. But she hesitated. And in that hesitation, her world changed forever. Chapter 6. A Fractured Allegiance. Elias didn't raise an alarm. Instead, he met her gaze, something unspoken passing between them. "If you're here for Sverik, I need to know why." Mira swallowed. Could she trust him? Every instinct screamed against it. But the thought of fighting alone against Sverik's empire, with no one to share the weight of her vengeance, was suffocating. "He killed my family," she admitted at last. "He burned my village and left me for dead. I have waited years for this moment." Elias exhaled slowly. "You're not the only one who wants him gone." Chapter 7. The Rebellion's Flame. With Elias as her unexpected ally, Myra's plans accelerated. She had never anticipated trust, but now she had a key to the general's inner circle. Together, they gathered dissidents, soldiers tired of Sverik's cruelty, spies who had waited in the shadows. The rebellion grew, its embers fanned into an unstoppable fire. As the day of the coup approached, the weight of her double life bore down on her. Would she ever be Mira again? Or had Ashen become her only reality? Chapter 8. The Fall of a Tyrant. The night of reckoning arrived. The palace was a battlefield, steel clashing against steel as the rebellion surged forward. Mira fought her way to Svaric's chambers, Elias at her side. When she finally faced the man who had stolen everything from her, she saw no remorse in his eyes, only arrogance. "You should have died with the rest of them," he sneered. "And you should have never underestimated the one who survived," she replied, driving her blade through his heart. Chapter 9. The Price of Vengeance. Svaric was dead. The rebellion had won. But victory came at a cost. Elias lay wounded, his blood staining the marble floors. He grasped Myra's hand, his grip weak but steady. "You were never just Ashen," he murmured. "You were always more." Tears blurred her vision. "And now? Who am I?" Elias managed a faint smile. "Whoever you choose to be." Epilogue: A New Dawn. Mira stood at the palace balcony, looking over the kingdom she had freed. She had spent years chasing vengeance, and now, for the first time, she had a choice: to remain in the shadows or step into the light. She turned, the first rays of dawn painting her face. She was no longer Ashen, no longer just a ghost of the past. She was Mira again, and her story was just beginning. Thanks for watching. For more episodes, please subscribe Eververse Novel.